Hello there, beautiful beings. Welcome to my sacred space. My name is Raven, and thank you so much for being here. This is going to be another one of my deck relationship videos, and the star of this video is none other than my OG, or the original Rider Waite Tarot Pack, the deck that got me started into reading tarot. So grab a cup of tea if you like, and we're gonna have a little chat about my favorite and my first ever deck. Right, so I got this deck in 2010 as a birthday gift from my brother. I remember he asked me and he was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, I just want a tarot deck. I was kind of like shy and I was mumbling, and he said, "What?" I said, "I want a tarot deck." And during that time, I was just still starting. I was just still dipping my toes into tarot, and I had no idea that it was perfectly fine to purchase your own deck. Okay, I was still believing in the superstitions back then because, like I said, it was the first time I was starting. So I asked him if he could buy me one because I saw it as the perfect opportunity for me to get this deck, as a gift for my birthday. But I wasn't really sure if he was going to get me one until on the day of my birthday. I woke up and there was something hard beside me on the bed, and I was thinking, what is this? And then I saw this deck and I was just so happy. So this is it. This is my OG. I call this deck my OG because, of course, it's the original gangsta. It's the first one ever. I'm showing you the box. It's a little bit torn and tattered. I tried my best to kind of preserve this, but like I said, I stopped reading tarot for a while. So I kind of like hid this deck somewhere, and I'm glad that it survived because we moved, and I'm glad that it's still here. So this is the box. Yeah, it says Rider books, and oh gosh, this is so old and musty. I don't even remember where it was left before. That's why it got all these nasty things. I really don't know, but on the sides it's just like that. But I guess it goes to show that it is a pretty old book, and I've read this before, I remember, and it's just nice to have a look at it again. Although I remember having a hard time because it was, I don't know, it was so tiny for me. But yeah, so this is the guidebook that it came in with, and here are the cards. Whoa, oh gosh, great. What a perfect way to start the video, by creating a mess. I'm sorry about that. Let me just pull out the cards. So it came in with this guidance on how to do the Celtic cross and 2 additional cards. So this is the kind of like the welcome card. It has this navy blue color, very nice backing that we've grown to love. Well, at least I have grown to love. Initially, I was thinking, oh gosh, I don't like the backing. It's too old. And it looks old, it looks vintagey. I didn't like the color. Those were my complaints when I opened it, because I was expecting to see this kind of like navy blue with golden tinge, the color, and it was like this, and I remember being dismayed. But eventually, I've grown to love this one. So that's Pamela Coleman Smith, and she's the artist behind the tarot. Very talented woman. And here are the cards. Okay, I'm pretty sure you've seen this deck. Almost everyone uses it, I guess. I prefer this over any other deck because it is my first, and I learned reading tarot from this one. And like I said, I am a Rider Waite Smith girl. I'm an RSW girl. I prefer the images here over other, like the Thoth or the Marseille. So I really like this one. I think the images really do justice, or they really convey what is the meaning of the card. I think it's very interesting. I love the vintage look of it, even though it has this, a contrast, this stark white in contrast to the tea stained background. I think it's interesting. Um, Now, as for my relationship with this card or this deck, it's pretty insane. I remember I whipped this deck out sometime, and maybe I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, perhaps, for a photo shoot, and I had to bring it with me because they wanted to add an element of mystery in the photo shoot. And I brought this deck, and I took photos um, with me, kind of like um, with some of the cards. All right, I'm not gonna expound on that, but that's it. Um, so yeah, it's a really nice deck. I like the energy. Of course, I see this deck as my teacher because this is like I said, the first deck that I've ever owned, and I learned reading tarot with this one. I learned to strengthen my intuition with the cards. I remember I would often read for my best friend, and we would write down the things that, I would read for her, and I would hold this book at the same time because I was still learning and practicing at that time. And I would write down some of the things that we kind of like gathered from the reading, and we would just have a look in like a week or 2 weeks later to find out, did this really happen to you? And I don't even remember what we did, but I remember some things actually kind of like were a hit. All right, so that kind of like gave me the confidence to read, and then eventually I got rid of the book, and I would just like sometimes, I would just look at the cards and I would already know the meaning, or at least the vibe that I'm getting from the cards or the energy, and I would just read using the energy or the intuitive hits. I wasn't fully aware that it was my intuition who was kind of like guiding me at that time, but I was just, that feeling when you know something. And yes, a claircognizant, eventually I found out, so that's how it is, and that's what it's called. So I kind of like, I rode that wave for the longest time without even realizing what it was. So yeah, as for the energy of this deck in particular, with in terms of its relationship with me, it's like I said, a teacher, and at the same time a really really close friend. I would often reach for this deck despite the many decks that I have in my possession, because I am a collector now, and I remember just every time I would go to my altar and start reading, I would still grab this one. I do have a very long and very nice relationship with this deck. I guess maybe that's the reason I would always reach for it, especially when I'm just trying to read for myself, and when I do like monthly readings or full moon readings for myself, I would gravitate to this deck. It calls me out for sure, but it does so in a not really in a harsh way, but in some sort of like a gentle way. Like for example, if a card flies out, and I would ignore it, and then I would proceed with the spread that I was doing, and then the same card would jump out at me, and okay, right, all right, I just put you in. How come you're already in this space? This was my stalker card for the longest time. But yeah, not anymore. As long as you sort shit out. Oh, sorry. As long as you sort things out in your life, some cards would, normally, or once you resolve what it was, or you learned what it was meant for, or, it will eventually be released, or the energy will be released. I love how this card is like always spot on also. Like I said, the stalker card, this one was just always, and I mean always, 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 always come out in all of my readings, no fail, for like the past, I don't know, maybe 2 months, 3 months, but for a long time. And I was just, damn, why is that card always out? What does it mean? Why? Who's betraying me? Who's being deceitful? I don't know. And then eventually I found out, and as soon as I kind of like, cut that toxic relationship out of my life, or kind of like cleansed myself from that energy, then it doesn't show up anymore. And I love how this deck kind of like really took it upon itself to kind of like give me a heads up, or warn me. And that's very interesting. I love the energy. I love how I feel like this deck is kind of like, watching over me, or yeah. So suffice to say, I do have a good relationship with this deck. I take care of it. I make sure that I hold it. I look at it every month, all right? Even though I have like so many other decks that I can work with, I would still gravitate to this one. For some reason, and it's very strange, and don't laugh at me, but sometimes I feel like, if I don't use it, it will get kind of like jealous of the other decks. But that's just me. I think that's just me being cray cray. But yeah, so I enjoy this deck. It played a big part of my life when I was still reading tarot, of course, and even more so now when I just, kind of like reignited my passion with reading tarot. And I am very grateful for this deck, for entering my life, and for, starting me on this journey. What is I don't know what else to say. That's it. That's my relationship with this deck. It calls me out for sure. It's like your big best friend, an old best friend who doesn't mind calling you out on your BS. Or if you're being an asshole, someone who asks for advice all the time but doesn't pay attention, they will definitely, or this deck will definitely call me out and, give me the truth straight. I never really got to do a deck interview with this one before because, of course, like I said, this was my first deck and I wasn't really that aware of the things that you can do with decks. I don't think it would be, I don't know, I don't think it would still be relevant to do a deck interview with this one because we already have a relationship. So yeah, out of all of my decks, I guess this is the most comforting one. I remember when I was having a hard time like several months back, I would always grab this deck for readings for myself, along with the angel decks. And I just noticed that, hey, I have like some of the decks that I've been lusting over for the longest time, decks that I've been wanting to get, and now it's here, but I'm not grabbing them or I'm not using them. I would always go to the OG, and I guess that's because of the relationship that I have with this deck. I think my energy and its energy is so enmeshed, or it's so kind of like woven together that it's easiest for me to do my readings here. I really get really nice readings, very accurate, not just for myself but for other people as well. And yeah, that's it. I feel comforted just by looking at the images, and sometimes I would miss using this deck if I'd be using my Lightyear Star deck often. I would feel like, hey, use me. But again, that's just me. But yeah, so this is my original Rider Waite Tarot Pack by A.E. Waite, and the images by Pamela Coleman Smith. Out of all of my RWS decks here and the RWS inspired decks, of course, this is my favorite and, best ever. But I think close to it is the newest. Well, not really the newest, but this one. Only because I guess they have almost the same images, except this is more muted and has a more vintagey vibe. But yeah, so that's it. Okay, I'm gonna show you the backs. So this one comes with me wherever I go. This is now my go-to mobile tarot. Or, it comes with me wherever. Before it was the Morgan Beer Tarot, but, Morgan needed to rest. So now it's the... Oh, sorry. So it's magnetic. And so now it's the Centennial edition of the Smith White Tarot deck. I'm trying to do some sort of like an accent over there, but I can't, and I don't know why that came out, but yeah. So this is it. This is my OG. I do have a good relationship with this deck. Let me know which one is your first ever tarot deck. Okay, which one holds like a very special place in your heart. This one's mine. If you have questions about this deck, I guess let me know in the comment section. I mean, this deck has been been used by a lot of readers, I guess. So I'm not gonna do a full flip through of this one. I'm sure you've seen the images when I was talking. So yeah, that's it. Very weird that I decided to do this video, but if you do have questions, of course, you can always ask me. Let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, I wish you all a beautiful day ahead. Take care and cheerio. Cheers, you guys. Bye.